And basically, the vision of this conference is we're going to rep each set until no mistakes are made. The Castillo way. When we walk away, the drains of the fire field should be overrun with blood, sweat, and tears, the concoction that breeds success and ends failure.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Tailboard Misfits podcast. We got a special one today. Today, my guest is Joe Johnson of the Porter Fire Department. He's been there for 8 years, where he's a lieutenant and the coordinator for their 701 program. He's got 16 and a half years of total service in the fire service. And what we're about to talk about is something super meaningful to Joe and his department and the guys that he works for. And it's an upcoming conference to benefit one of their guys, Castillo. And we're going to get into the details of it and the dates and everything like that. But right now, Joe, man, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you having me on tonight.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, like when I heard this conference was going to happen, I wanted to help out in any way. We have kind of like a mutual friend, Michael Ramirez, and I was kind of in his ear the whole time, like, hey, whatever I can do or whatever TBM can do, like, just let us know, because stuff like this is super important, and to pick up our brothers when they're going through a hard time. And that's kind of the whole reason of this entire episode is one of your brothers and is going through a pretty tough time right now. Let's just talk about him and what he's going through and where he's at right now.
Yeah, man. So for the ones that don't know, Jesus, or Jesse, as he's known by most of the guys out there in the world, or even Castillo, as we call him back home, lieutenant with Porter Fire Department. I think he started 2 years or a year and a half before I did. So I came in 2016. So he started in the 2014, 2015 era of Porter Fire Department. And we've kind of grown up through the ranks together. When I got moved to A shift as a rookie, he was there with me, and he kind of took me under his wing. And as we grew up, man, we almost competed in every single promotional exam. He's always beat me. He's always edged me out a little bit, but he's good. Solid guy, dude. Grinder, always on the drill field. And we always challenge each other back in the day, whether it was hose deployments, pumping our apparatus or whatever. I mean, I can go back to when I was a ladder truck chauffeur for my captain, and he was the engine company chauffeur, and we'd do drills, and he would try to park, and he would always want the best out of me on my ladder truck, and he'd always try to fit it to where, basically screwed me, but it brought the best out in me, and I loved it. But earlier this year, man, our department does really well. They do our yearly physicals, our annual scans. From what I understand, the story background on this, he got a clean bill of health. And then later on in the year, he noticed a hard lump develop somewhere in his shoulder into his neck region, and he went and got an opinion on it. And they told him, let's do some blood work and stuff. So blood work came back a little bit wonky on it. And so his doctor said, let's get some biopsies on it. And I think at that point, we're probably in the March, April range. His doctor said, hey, more than likely this is going to be cancer. And we believe it's going to be lymphoma. Lymphoma's curable. It's not a big deal. We'll get you back on the truck. We'll get it taken care of. Talking to Castillo during this time, he noticed some weight loss, and he was working out every day in gear. He was actually prepping to apply to go to smoke diver class. He was wanting to do that. He was wanting to just notch another achievement in his career belt. He's achieved so much up to this point, man, with his name and how he represents us and how he represents the fire service and brotherhood in general. And so Friday, I don't remember the exact day, but there was a Friday. I'll never forget this day, because I got a phone call from my BC, and that phone call led to the phone call to our captain at the time on A shift that we shared. He's still Jesse's captain to this day. It's Captain Brett Odelet. And we had found out that he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And he had some lesions on his liver. And then they were sending him to scan his brain. Prayers to God, man. And Castillo has big faith in God, big family, man. He loves his wife, Taylor, for many years. They've been together for quite a long time, as long as I can remember. And then 2 beautiful children, man, Titan. And I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. He named his son after the Tennessee Titans because he's a huge Tennessee Titan fan. Just check out Howard Reinwald, FD Tactics. You'll see the design on our shirts that we have for Castillo right now. We have 2 different shirts coming out, but it's because of the Titans. And then his beautiful little daughter, Irene, who just celebrated her 2nd birthday over this past weekend. So he got the results, and then his doctor said, we need to go check your brain. We need to do MRI. But prayers to God, man, and blessings from God. The cancer hadn't made it to his brain. but he officially had to come off the truck. He had lost some weight, even though he was working out all the time, noticeable weight loss. His health was declining. He was exhausted, having night sweats and stuff like that. And that's kind of what triggered him to go see the doctor in the beginning, was the weight loss and the night sweats. And from what I understand, the doctors at Memorial Hermann, his original ones that he went to, triggered into it. His oncologist triggered into it real quick. Over the past few weeks, he got some guaranteed news on what it was, the mutation. I'm not sure if he wants me to share that or not, but they do know the mutation on it. He did have his first round of chemo. He improved. He had some improvement on it with some saturation in mid 80s to high 90s. And of course, we know what chemo does to the human body, and so he struggled with that for a few days. But he's back on his feet. He's eating real good, as much as he can, and he's keeping himself busy. He's staying in the fight. My crew went and we delivered him a lunch last time we were on duty, and he promised us he's not giving up. He's in it for the fight, man, and he's going to do everything he can to power through this, and we know he will. And so that's kind of where he's at, man. But dude, I mean, I know he spent almost 10 years with East Montgomery County Fire Department. It's a department just north of us. Started as a rookie with them and then came over to Porter. And when you speak about Castillo and being a family man, I mean, we've all been there. I've been there myself, support my family. This man worked 2 full-time jobs. So, you know, when we talk about being on the job, you know, I've been with Porter 8 years, but that's just one job. You know, Castillo has been with Porter right at 10 years. He was with East County almost 10 years, but that's 2 full-time jobs. You might as well say he's been on the job for 20 years. I mean, there's no telling how many people he's made a difference in their lives, whether their homes are still standing, you know, CPR calls, entrapments, or just, you know, making a little kid's day, because he's all about public relations too, man. He exhibits that family style orientation, not only with his kids and his wife, especially when they come up to the station and visit him. I mean, you visit his Facebook profile, man. His wife is always bringing the kids up to see him. He's always having fun with his kids. But he does that with the kids around the station and the kids around in our district, man. So when you say family, man, that dude's all family, man, and a big believer in Christ. Sets the example. And I look up to Castillo many years. He's always challenged me to be better. The funniest thing that we've probably ever had in our career was we used to always argue back and forth. It was just fun. We never meant anything by it, but one time our lieutenant set us down like, "Hey man, y'all are arguing too much." I'm like, "Are y'all really hate each other?" Like, no, it just makes the day go by faster. And
Yeah.
so it's just, man, dude, when you talk about a fireman's fireman, it's him. Like, dude loves the job. He loves the people that's around him. He's you know, he is definitely the opposite of what he's battling here. He is not a cancer, dude. He is a shining light in the fire service.
Man.
So if I had to explain Castillo, that's how I would sum it up.
I think you said it well. And, you know, I'm fairly plugged in on the social media world when it comes to firemen from all across the country. And, you know, unfortunately, like this is it's common to see, you know, firemen come down with cancer, right? And as terrible as it is, you know, we all know that it's part of our job, and you know, that there's a possibility that it may happen. But whenever, you know, the news about Castillo came out, and I don't know, it could be because I know a lot of people from Texas more than anything, but it says a lot about him and the type of fireman and the type of man that he is, for just the outpouring of love and support that he got, right? Pretty quickly and immediately.
Yeah, this guy's made a name for himself. He's known. He's always bettering himself. The dude goes to conferences after conference. I mean, we went to the OG Degum conference that Live Oak put on, the Kevin Flugers and his guys put on, you know, Tom Hollick and them. That was like 2 years ago out in San Antonio, I believe we were, man. And, you know, you talk to some of them boys that they'll talk about the Porter boys. And it was, you know, myself, John Powell, Drew Elmendorf, and Jesse Castillo. And it wasn't just one of us that shined, man. It was all of us. But mainly Castillo, man. That's why I love the pictures that we chose for this conference flyer. I mean, you have the picture of Castillo diving in the window at the conference. That's him, man. Head first, ready to go, ready to battle whatever's in front of him. It don't matter. You know, like Dorval talks about slaying the dragon, the 5th Battalion. I mean, that's Castillo. He wants to lead his crew into the battle. And then, you know, the picture we have of Castillo on the radio, that was part of one of the evolutions where he was riding officer. You know, he was playing the officer part. Just as calm, cool, collective as anybody could be, you know, and the trust that we had in him at the conference during training, and the trust his men have at him, having him back at home. I mean, that picture right there exemplifies everything. He's just that cat. When you're going into battle, hell or high water, he's got your back, and he's going to lead you to a victory no matter what.
Yeah. We're both repping right now, too. I put this on purpose. I bought this last year, but.
Yeah. My wife's probably a little irritated when I turned the air conditioner down just a little bit because it's in Texas. Yeah. And we've had so many seasons over the past 2 weeks, but it was 90-something degrees today. But, the time is now. And I was looking at my closet, what to wear, repping my shift back here with the C shift chumps from Porter, but I couldn't think of anything better than the time is now. The time is now to come out and support our boy. He needs us more than anything.
Yeah, he does. And like you said, it's Texas. And I do this in my garage, which is funny, I know. But it's freaking hot, and I'm sweating it out in here with the long sleeve on. So I'm a little jealous you got the AC going.
You're better man than me, man, because my flag was in my garage, and I told my wife, I never thought I'd be on a podcast, but, if it's going to be for the right cause, I believe this is the right one. So I moved the flag into the kitchen area, and I was like, it's too hot in my garage. I ain't doing it, man.
Well, it looks dope. It looks dope. So make sure you tell your wife thank you for me.
Oh, man, I'm not even the OG guy that helped design that. I got to give a shout-out to Mike Ramirez and Brandon Schaefer's and Michael Inman, those guys right there. Joseph Sullivan, that's the officer corps on C shift, including myself, plus Chief Seaver. Steven Seaver, man. And the big one right here is 1232 Deuce. That's one of the line of duty deaths we had back in 2003. Got to mention his name. Gary Staley died in an auto shot fire back in 2003 on January 19th. So we rep him, because his family started the Gary Staley Foundation. And, man, without Ruby and Don Staley, the parents of Gary who died in the line of duty, I would not be sitting in front of you doing this podcast because that foundation put me through EMT school and fire school. So,
dude, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, man. So
I love that.
I always name drop those two people. Those two people are some of the greatest people you'll meet in the world. And they ran that foundation for 20 years, and then COVID hit, and they decided very respectfully it was time to hang it up. 20 years of paying respects to their son. But the firemen at Porter have not forgotten, and we will never forget. In fact, Lone Star College, where I teach at, and we get a lot of our cadets out of on the Kingwood campus, they actually just built us a drill field out there, a new drill field over there off of Sorters Road, and it is the Gary Staley training field. And they also give out a Gary Staley award, and that award goes to cadets that are always there, always ready, any place, anytime. That's. I never met Gary. He died before I even got in the fire service. He passed away before I even graduated high school. But that's what I would understand who Gary was. Anytime, any place, he was always there. And my son was actually born on January 19th, 2008. Okay. So, I'm sorry, 2011. I get my kids' ages back. I'm dad.
Hey,
I'm your typical dad. I can't keep track, but it was kind of weird. My firstborn son was born on the same day Gary lost his life. So it was just, you want to say the stars lined up, but that's a little bit about our patch and why we have 1232 Deuce on there. So
I love that, dude. I love it. So let's get into the conference, man. So the Castillo Way, it's August 9th through 11th this year. It's going to be down in the Houston area. I know you got some details locked in, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have – it's a 3-day conference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's 1 day of lecture and 2 days of hands-on training.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so this the Friday after the news spread about his stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis, I was actually on the way to my cousin's wedding in Austin, and my phone rang, and it was Lee Humphreys, and big name with Dadgum, great guy. I love this guy to death. He called me. We actually started messaging on Facebook first, and he asked me to call him, and so we talked on the phone. He's like, let's do a conference for you, man. Let's just do it. And I said, I'm in, but I have no clue on what I'm doing. But I'll do it, man. My wife knows it. Anybody that knows me, once I get my head and my sights locked onto something, dude, I'm hard-headed and bull-nosed. I'm gonna drive right through it. And I couldn't think of anything better to honor, a close friend of mine, a fellow brother, and a mentor, than to get a conference. So he said he'd call Kevin Pfluger with Dadgum Fire and get it started. And the funny story is, man, Kevin called me about an hour later, and he said, I'll help you as much as I can. And hopefully he doesn't get mad at me when I say this. But he said, man, I've been doing so much, I've got to play in the shadows because I don't want to make my wife mad. And I said, I understand, because my wife's already looking at me going, oh, my God, I'm not going to see my husband for 3 months, because she already deals with us being firemen. She deals with me deploying throughout the state with TIFMAS and working at the college, working at part-time jobs. So here's another thing taking her husband away, right? But in a good way. And about 3 hours later, Kevin texted me, said, I'm all in, man. I sat down and talked to my wife. She gave me the thumbs up. I'm all in. And man, it has been a battle in a good way since then. We are constantly trying to keep the horse in front of the cart because so many good things are coming down. And we originally started with just 2 days, hands on. And during the first 24 to 48 hours, the vision of the conference was born. And when Kevin asked me to describe what my vision was in this conference, it's like God spoke right to me, or it just came to my heart, or Castillo spoke through my heart, man. And basically, the vision of this conference is we're going to rep each set until no mistakes are made. The Castillo way. When we walk away, the drains of the fire field should be overrun with blood, sweat, and tears, the concoction that breeds success and ends failure. And Dorval said it best, and that's a T-shirt, brother, and his voice that he does. And that's Castillo, though, man. And that's where we wanted the vision. And so we had a phone call with Castillo, and it has taken off since then. But like I said, it was only going to be a 2 days. It was only going to be a hands-on training scenario only. And the more and more we talked about it, the more and more people started stepping up. I was like, man, Kevin and I on some of the, I think the same exact day was, we got to throw a lecture day in there. We got to make this happen. So we secured our venue. It is August 9th through August 11th. August 9th is going to be a straight up lecture day in Castillo's hometown of his fire department in Porter, Texas. We've got a local Baptist church that has cut us a really great, phenomenal low cost deal. They got to make a little bit of money to pay the lights and utilities. We understand that. But they've done us a phenomenal job. So we're going to host the lecture at Porter First Baptist Church, our First Baptist Church of Porter, right there off 1314 in the heart of downtown Porter, Texas. And then after that, it's 2 days in the Texas summer heat of August at the Woodlands ETC. So it's going to be all right there. So it is going to be local to Castillo. The motels that we got, man, Fairfield Inn and Suites, the Woodlands, cut us a great deal. More information to come out on that, but we're going to take care of our instructors first. But any rooms left over, which we've reserved a decent amount of rooms, it'll be first come, first serve. But those are $92 a night, man. So great deals on that. But the original hot day with engine company operations, focusing heavily on hose management, some ladder work, heavy on search. We're going to do a little bit of forcible entry. We'll have some aerial work there. I believe it's Larry DeCamillo that's coming out, and Chief of Stafford. He's going to do some aerial work, and that's really going to be positioning the bucket and getting victims on and off the bucket. So really excited. That was a last-minute ad we just had. Somebody contacted Kevin on that. That's kind of the vision and where we started with the conference.
Yeah, and Kevin, I knew who he was, obviously, up until now. One of his scrap on the weekly scrap. His scrap has been one of my favorites, and I met him down at Joey D Days for the first time, and he's such a nice dude. He's as good as gold, and probably one of the best human beings that I know, honestly.
Yeah, and Kevin and I met. Man, I guess I guess it would be 2020 or 2021 when we went to Degum, the OG Degum conference. But I had a rookie named Michael Lataki, and he came in. I guess he would have left in 2021, and he went to Live Oak. He applied at Live Oak, and one day we were up in the gym working out, and my phone rang, and it was Kevin Pfluger. And he introduced, "Hey, this is Lieutenant Pfluger with Live Oak Fire Department. You've been put down in a reference, and I've never read a 2-page reference letter on a fireman. I got to talk to you." And what I figured would be a 5 or 10 minute talk turned into almost an hour long conversation, not only about the job, but of Michael Lataki. So that's where Kevin and I originally met. And then we shook hands and hugged for the first time at Dead And Kevin is a great guy, man. He does a lot of good for the fire industry. And I know there's haters out there in everything that we do. And you got the recliner warriors, the couch warriors, man, they can stay at home. That's kind of where I'm at. You don't even have to come out. Don't waste your money. If you're not going to sweat and bleed with us, stay at home. Just don't even come out. But we want everybody to come out. And that's why we're super excited about the instructor list that Kevin has put together. Kevin has done a phenomenal job with either reaching out or guys reaching out to him, because my ultimate goal was to get a lot of out-of-state, out-of-region guys. So Castillo's brothers right here can go pay homage and honor to him and blood, sweat, and tears on that drill field with him.
Yeah. So the lecture day, I know some of them we may not want to release quite yet, even though we have them hammered down, but the lectures, who do we have lined up for day one?
So we've got a surprise, and we won't release that yet. But Master of Ceremonies, man, when we were talking about this, his name just came to mind. And when you listen to his videos and you listen to him talk, dude, I don't care if you're a piece of crap fireman. I don't care if you're a guy that's loving the job. When he speaks, your heart just races. You can't wait to get to the front of the line. You want to be on the nozzle. You want to be cutting that hole. You want to be freaking searching. And that's Raymond Dorval from Miami-Dade, dude. Lieutenant Dorval. And when I told Kevin, Kevin's like, you're going to call him yourself. And so I reached out to him, and that's a busy man. That is a busy man. And he took time out of his day, called me back. And so Dorval is actually going to be the master of ceremonies for this conference, this lecture day. And he's actually going to give a lecture. I'm not sure if he's going to go anywhere from 45 minutes to 2 hours, but Dorval's one of them. Okay. So he's going to open it and close ceremonies. And there's no better person in this world, I think, to do this, to honor Castillo.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome at the daggum this last year. I got to go, and he was phenomenal.
I'll never be a Dorval man, but I try to emulate him so much with that motivational speaking, teaching at the fire academy that I teach at. But you'll never replace him, and you can only do your best to emulate him. But the passion and love, not only he has as a brother, as a family man, but as a lover of Christ and stuff, dude, there's no better person to try to emulate when you're teaching a bunch of kids that want to do this job, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm super excited to see him come down. Can't wait to shake his hand and hug him again. So the next one we've got two local guys, big name guys though. Chief Clyde Gordon, District 8 out of HFD. I'm hoping not saying this right, Chief, or saying this wrong, Chief. If I am, I'm sorry. I know we talked the other day. I just was driving. I did not take notes, but I know he's talking about mid-rise and big box operations. He's gonna talk about that, which is phenomenal. I mean, because when you look outside of the greater Houston area and you start looking where we're from, Montgomery County, especially like Porter, man, we are growing phenomenally, and we've got mid-rises coming in. We already have one or two in 121's district, but we are fixing to be inundated. You know, South County is our mutual aid department. They just had a big old 5-alarm storage fire, and just the command presence that man has. If you've never heard him run scenes on YouTube and stuff, dude, it's just how he just sits there and stays calm on the radio. It's I cannot wait to be a part of his lecture and learn from him.
We had Chief Gordon down in Grapevine for the conference that we hosted. It's good as gold, dude. And you're right. Like, he's so smart and has a lot of obviously so much experience coming from Houston. Whatever he's teaching, people want to listen to. So y'all definitely have someone lined up good there. Yeah,
absolutely. And man, he wants to see everybody succeed. I know a year or two ago, when I was running the equipment committee, when we first kicked it off, one of the things our command staff came to us and said, y'all keep complaining about hoses and nozzles and y'all's attack packages. Figure it out. We'll spend the money, but show us the data. And I was able to reach out to, a local right next door to us, Kyle Romagus, and Kyle Romagus got me in touch with Clyde Gordon, and he got me in touch with a couple of his guys and actually let me in their Facebook group to look at some of the mistakes and some of the attributes that they did with their hose packages that they're trying to convince their command staff to change to. And we cut down so much work because Chief Gordon was so willing to share what they had done, the goods, the bads, and don't do this, don't do that. Chief Gordon is just good as gold.
Who's next on that?
Man, so really excited about this guy. I fell in love with him when HFD was going through all their pay parity stuff. And when I listened to this guy give a talk, one of the things I remember is, Mo Davis just committed career suicide. Mo Davis will never see higher than a district chief. And that told me right there, that kind of guy right there, that kind of leader, like he will die on the stake for his men. And so super excited, Mo Davis. And I got to give a shout out to Chief Howard Romwald. Chief Howard Romwald is the one that put me in touch with these guys. He actually started the legwork, see if they would even be interested. And I don't think there was any hesitation. I think both these guys jumped on it right away, and he got me in touch with them. So thank you, Chief Romwald, for that. But he's going to be coming in and going over aggressive command. And I think, as an engine company officer in this world, and still very young as an amateur in this fire service, I think aggressive command is something that we need to take hold. We need those battalion chiefs, those district chiefs, whoever's riding that freaking buggy today to entrust in their people. And we've got a great set of chiefs at our department that trust us to do their job. They empower us, but I know not everybody's the same. And I think, you got people like Chief Davis that are leading the charge with aggressive command that want to put those dogs to work, that want to get those chumps that you see behind me, just let them on the fire ground and let them get to work and do their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm super excited about Chief Davis coming out.
I got the opportunity to come down to Joey D days, and the station I was helping with, we were teaching with Chief Davis and Chief Mike Phillips, both from down there. That was one of the best weekends of my life. I mean, just so much knowledge that they have. Chief Davis, I mean, he's a mountain of a man. He's a large guy.
Yeah, but that's a corn-fed country boy.
But he's like the most genuine and like sweetest dude that I've ever met before. Like super nice, super nice person.
Yeah, I've never met him in person. I don't want to lead it like him and I have a off-duty great relationship. I've talked to him once on the phone, but I followed his work and followed his teachings and some of the stuff he passed down. Because HFD we mutual aid HFD.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to go to downtown Houston and fight fire with Chief Gordon and Chief Davis and that. We mutual aid out in the Kingwood area. But I mean, just to have their names and knowing those guys are making waves in HFD, pushing for the better. We already know HFD is probably one of the most, if not the most aggressive department in the nation. I mean, I don't work for them, but I can see, most of their stations, most of their guys, man, they're hard hitters. They want to get the job done. That's actually Castillo's battalion chief. Used to be my battalion chief. He still works for Porter, man. He retired from HFD for over 35 years, at least 35 years, if not more in. Chief Kelly Fisher. And you can still say that name in HFD and people go, man, that dude, that's a fireman's fireman. Like he's jam up. And all these people, they work for their guys underneath them. They truly work for them.
Yeah.
And you can see that the way they teach, you can see the way they reach out to the brotherhood. You can see how they are around the station. They take care of their people.
Man, that's already a lineup right there.
Yeah. We haven't even got to the instructors of the hands-on brother. I'm telling you, I can't remember all these guys' names, man. I'm just turned 37. I can barely remember my wife's name on good days, let alone bad days. So yeah. I had to print them off. I got 3 sheets in front of me if that tells you how many instructors we got coming out.
Is on the lecture day, though, is there anybody else on the lecture day? Just want to make sure.
Not yet. We've got one more spot we're going to fill. We're waiting on some confirmations. We got a couple names lined out that we want. Man, I love the fact, and I'm going to give him a shout out, Chief Corley Moore. Man, he jumped on it. He was going to come out, but it turned out there was a scheduling conflict. So Chief Moore, I love you to death. Thank you for wanting to come out. I know Castillo a lot of us Porter boys are a huge follower of Chief Moore. And Chief Moore has a good spot in his heart for Castillo. So I know he was in the right place. He wanted to do it, but I know he was going to come, but unfortunately he has a scheduling conflict. But we have some other hard hitters that we're going to line up. But we definitely have one, but we're not going to release the name yet.
Heck yeah. Okay. So just to recap, we got Raymond Dorval is going to be the master of ceremony. He's going to MC, give some words of motivation and inspiration, which he does really well. Chief Clyde Gordon, who's amazing. Chief Mo Davis, who's also amazing. And then we got a special one coming that we're not releasing yet.
I'll release one more, and he's a local guy. And Chief Mike Johnson from South County Fire Department, which is our neighboring district. He's going to talk. He's going to spend 20, 30 minutes. And this hits home. This hits hard. We all know what we're doing this conference for, man. One of our brothers, and the sad thing is when you go back 5 years ago, you didn't hear about the cancers as much as you hear about it now.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't hear about, and I know it's a horrible taste to put in people's mouth. You didn't hear about the suicides that was rocking the fire service and law enforcement, EMS agencies. So for this guy to come out, Chief Mike Johnson from South County, he's also going to have a lecture that day. But during the opening ceremony, he's going to come out somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. This man is a cancer survivor. He got the news that he had cancer. He's a survivor. But he's going to talk about the avenues and the programs that he reached out to, the successful ones, and let people know, like, you're not in this fight alone. You're not going to do this alone. So he's going to come out. I'm super excited to see what he has to say, man, because I don't think there's anybody in the world that wants to get the diagnosis that Chief Johnson got, Lieutenant Castillo has gotten. Nobody wants to get that, man. We all know, and I'm sure we've all been around the house, and we've all been on the house fire. We've taken our air pack off too early going, I'm going to get cancer no matter what. But, I'm one of those guys. I'm really horrible about that. I will take my air pack off real quick. And, I got to dip in right now, and I used to smoke for 15 years. A little bit of alcohol problems back in the day, not anymore, thank God. That got me through it. And but Castillo didn't smoke. He don't dip. As far as I know, he only drank socially if he drank at all. But here he is battling stage 4 lung cancer. Like how does that guy get cancer? And I remember fighting house fires with him, and he'd keep his air pack on longer than most people. And he would kind of shy down on me like, what, put your air pack on, Joe. I'm like, nah, man, it's fine. I can still breathe. But, here we are. The dude that followed the rules, the dude lived life right, but he's battling. He's not letting that knock him down. But I think Chief Johnson from South County is going to be a great addition to come out there and talk from a survivor's standpoint. Like, guys, this isn't the end of the world. And take care of yourselves and check yourself. I truly believe that's what he's going to come out and say.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a good one to have there too. Moving into the 2 hands-on days. So we know the classes we're going to have, engine ops stuff with hose loads and deployments, and I'm sure some hose management stuff, probably a bunch of flow and water, some search with some victim removal. We're going to throw some ladders with some ladder ops and stuff like that, and then as well as forcible entry. So whatever you want to share on that. I know you said you had 3 pages of instructors. Whoever we want to drop, let's get them out there, and that way we know what to expect for the 2 days of hands-on.
Yeah, man. So there's actually 2 parts to this conference. First and foremost, I want to make it known clear. I totally expect this conference, not because I demand people to go out and buy tickets. I've already said it once. I'm going to say it again. If you're not going to come out and work and bleed and sweat and cry with us, stay home. Like that's not. We want the firemen out there that are going to put forth the effort. This Chief Starnes, when I went to listen to his lecture, I love the point he made, man, because it's not just a fire service, it's every service. But one point he made in his lecture very early on is that if you come to these conferences to be unfaithful to your wife, shame on you. Like, this conference is all about paying respects to our boy and benefiting him because he has put forth the effort. He's put forth the blood, the sweat, and the tears. Like, he's done it, man. And he's like, let's pay homage to him. So I want to talk about tickets, and then we'll get into what we're going to go cover, because this is going to be a big one, and I'll repeat it later if I need to. But there's 2 parts to this conference. We're going to have the lecture day, which we're only going to sell 85, right at 85 3-day passes for the hands-on stuff when we start talking about evolutions and scenarios. Okay, that's the first part. The second part of this is there's going to be a 3-day big water class. So I actually called Castillo and I talked to him like, hey, dude, if you had a lecture, like if you got to put on a conference, what would you want? Like, what would you lead it with? Like, what do we need? And man, he gave me such a great list, and Kevin and I are doing our best to honor that. And I think we're going to. I think the setup that Kevin has gone and coming back to me and throwing out ideas left and right. I can't keep up with this man. I really need to take about 3 weeks off from work and life and family and being a husband and all this stuff just to catch up, because Kevin has done such a great job pushing this forward. But we're going to sell 85 tickets to the 3-day pass. That gives you the lecture. Saturday is a hands-on training. You're going to go through engine company ops. You're going to go through search ops. You're going to do some ladder work. You're going to do some forcible entry. You're going to do some aerial work. So I don't know how Kevin's going to pull it off, but Kevin's Kevin. Kevin's going to pull it off. And if you've been to one of his conferences, you'll trust him like I'm trusting him. And then we're only going to sell 100 tickets just to the lecture. So we're looking at putting about 200 people in this lecture hall on day 1. But that only gives you the lecture. And then we're going to have 50 tickets for the big water class. Chief Johnson from South County is going to put on the big water class. And man, a big news, Kevin said he's guaranteed it's going to happen. So hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here, is for all my volunteer firemen, man, I've spent 13 years as a volunteer. I know what it's like. Funds are tight. Training is hard to get to because funds, this entire conference is going to be HB 2604 approved.
Perfect.
So, and I got to give a shout out to Degum. I know Kevin said he didn't need it out there. It is the Castillo Way Conference, but the host of this that are playing in the shadows is Degum. Degum has pulled together, and they're the ones doing everything for us. They're making it happen. So Degum has got it approved with the Forestry Service. So if you're in Texas and you're worried about financing it, you're approved. 2604 program. I used to have to fill out that paperwork all the time. So if you need help with it, if your department needs help, man, freaking reach out to me, and my number's on the bottom of the flyer. I'll do what I can to help y'all fill out forms and whatever, give you all the information. So don't hesitate just because you're a volunteer and you don't think you can afford it. It's going to be reimbursed. So we're only looking to sell 100 tickets for the lecture, 85 full passes for the engine company and search ops, and then 50 big water tickets. And that's it, man. It's going to be a low ticket, but it's going to be one of those low ticket, high intensity conferences. So hands-on day, man. Like you said, a lot of big name hits, man. Kevin Pfluger's going to be there. Noah Katz from Phoenix, Priority Fire and Training, Captain out of Phoenix. He's going to be there. The Daniel Cano, man, I love that guy. He was out there when we did our Dead Gun Fire Conference, and the flat load off the shoulder, the Minuteman stuff, how to flip that and deploy it, because we run the flat load in Porter. Some of those guys right there, like Brandon Wilson from Cibolo, Tom Hollick is coming out. I know Dorval with the way of the nozzle, he's going to be out there flowing water too. So if you want nozzle time, you want hose time, this is the conference to come to, man. I mean, I myself, back in the day, we went to the Nozzle 4 class with Aaron Fields, and man, if you ain't ever been to that class and you don't want to be wet, don't go to that class, because you're going to get wetter than you've ever been. But it's that high intensity of those classes that Dead Gum brings, man. And Michael Lugo, that's going to be a big name too, coming out and helping these guys. Thomas Cruz, big name here. Chris Snow is coming out, and I got to shout out to these instructors, man. Most of these instructors, they are taking care of their own travel and they're donating their time. Mm-hmm. Like, and man, that when you talk about brotherhood, that's brotherhood, man. Some of these guys live Texas is big. You live in Texas, I don't care what state you live in, unless you're driving across the panhandle of Florida, you don't know what it's like. I mean, if you ain't ever been to Houston, when we say we're going somewhere in Houston, it's not, I'll be there in a minute. It's literally, I'll be there in an hour and a half, because that's how long it takes us to get to freaking Houston, man. Like, Houston's huge. So for these guys to fly out of state, like, man, Shane Bentley, Bears of the Oath, dude, he's coming from far away. But I know he's got a special place for Castillo in his heart, man. And he kind of started the Facebook trend. It's there's no hashtag associated to it, but I think he was one of the first ones, and I followed suit, man, because Shane for a couple weeks changed his profile picture and his page picture to Castillo's family and Castillo himself, and we just kind of followed suit. And I think if you still go look on my Facebook profile, I still have a picture of us boys at the Dead Gun Fire Conference, the 4 OGs from Porter that went to it. And there's a lot of us that are trying to pay, honor to Castillo. But, Shane Bentley, with the Bears of the Oath, for him to, come out, it's great, dude, because they live a far away, man. Wesley Cox is coming out from Bears of the Oath. Jared Robinson is coming out. Just big names. I can't think of any bigger names to come out. You got David Mellon, Justin Frazier, he's coming out, and that's just to list a few. And some of these guys are they're smoke divers. One of the hardest classes to ever achieve, man. And a class that was that Castillo was training for, prepping his body, putting his body through hell every day. 2:00 in the afternoon. You're from Texas, you know what 2:00 in the afternoon feels like in full gear. It's no joke. When people say you got to get acclimated to the weather down here, we got to start in February or March, start acclimating our body to that weather.
Yeah.
So
those are some big names.
Yeah, that's some of the names that are coming out, dude. And again, dude, these guys, I know Kevin's not pulling my leg, man. These guys are donating their travel and their time. We're putting them up in a hotel. That's all we're providing. And there's not a hesitation in their heart. They're coming. Like, they want to spread the message, and everybody wants it to be about Castillo, because that's the ultimate goal, is for Castillo.
Yeah. The majority of those guys I've met personally, Chris Snow, he's in my backyard. So we live probably 4.5 hours north of you guys. Mm-hmm. But I met the majority of those guys at the Daggum this last year, and literally some of the most selfless people that I've ever met before. So if you've never been to a Daggum conference, I don't really know how to explain it besides saying you need to go. I know I told Kevin this last year, was like, man, like this, if I go to one conference next year, it'll be the Daggum, conference. And I'm going to bring my wife, and It's a whole thing, and it's amazing. Like the hospitality was top notch. Like the instructors were great. Even
Oh,
like
yeah.
even like some of just the supplement instructors, right, that are just there and helping out. Like, golly, those guys are super passionate and wanting to get after it and pouring into people left and right. I mean, I haven't seen anything like that. It
Yeah,
was
and
truly amazing.
man, if you've never been to a conference, let me speak from the heart. Dead Gun was probably the first conference I traveled outside the Houston region to go with, and John Powell, Drew Elmendorf, Jesse Castillo, myself, when we went, we didn't know what to expect, but we all knew what we wanted. We wanted the love for the job, and we wanted to better ourselves. And when they say you make lifelong friends out of this, you do, man. Because there's one guy, I don't know where he's going to be in August. I know he's a busy man, but Scott Sanders was out there, and I love me some Scott Sanders. And I mean, it's been over 2.5 years since we've been to this freaking conference. And Scott and I talk on a biweekly to monthly basis. We're just checking in with each other. I mean, and it's the nonverbal talk we had, man. We're friends on Facebook, so we're commenting on some stuff back and forth from here. He checked in on me during the weather, the weather, sent him some pictures of some of the flooding we were doing. I got to play Noah's Ark, man. I don't know about y'all's flooding, but for Port of Texas, when you're rescuing 11 goats and 2 horses and 6 dogs and a lemur, that's a Dylan Porter, so Scott was kind of shocked that that's what we were hauling out in our boat. But man, those guys, and I'm going to throw out an official challenge right now, and I hope both of these guys get to make it. I have no doubt in my mind, because Sandy O'Malley's coming. He's coming from the Colony, Bears of the Oath. Dude, phenomenal truck guy. Takes his job super seriously. I mean, I was on the ladder truck for roughly 2 years as a chauffeur, maybe a little bit longer. And Sandy, I want you to know, brother, I adopted what you taught us in the at the Dead Gun Fire Conference, man. We make our guys cut on pallets now, and we do it at the Lone Star Fire Academy. Just sitting right there on the ground cutting pallets, dude. What a better way to get a feel for the saw and rafters. Cheap. You're not having to set up roof props or not. So we still to this day we learn from that and we use it. So so the challenge is to Sandy O'Malley and Lee Humphrey. So 2.5 years ago, John Powell and we beat them in their little forcible entry drill and their victim removal drill. And it was close. We beat them by 20 seconds. And we did not get to make the Degum this year. There were some things that went on where we couldn't get together and get up there. So if you boys can make it out, we'll throw down again. We'll make it happen, and we'll pass the belt on, or we'll keep the belt, one of the two. But those guys, man, that's what I'm talking about. If you've never been to a conference, I don't care if you think you know everything, dude. I walked away from that conference with so much more knowledge. Even I always consider myself an amateur. I'm not an expert or even consider myself a mentor. I'm just an amateur in this game that I love, and I've loved ever since I was a baby, man. My mom always told me I came out of her screaming like a fire truck, and she knew I was going to be a fireman one day. But to go to a conference and experience that, it's one of the highlights of my career, man. It doesn't matter what else I've done, to go around and sweat with 100 other guys doing the same reps and perfecting the craft. To get out to these conferences, these guys they've earned their time, they've earned their money that they're getting paid off these conferences. But this conference here, most of these guys, if not any of them, they're not making a penny off of this. I know Kevin has promised me Degum is not, everything that's profited from this, outside of the cost for hotels and rentals and whatever we got to pay for to make this happen, it's going straight to Castillo. Degum's going to write him a check for every down to the penny on what we do. So these guys, man, the names that we're listing off here, like Marcos Orozco. What's up, buddy? Son's throwing something away. Marcos Orozco, man. Come say hi. You want to say hi? Come here, wave.
What's up, dude?
That's my youngest. That's Tanner, man.
Love it.
It's gonna be it's my retirement right there. That's my baseball king.
There you go.
Okay, buddy. So Marcos Orozco, man, Georgia smoke diver. Hard Knock Sunday training. I mean, when you say big names. Like
Marcus is coming.
Marcus is coming, dude.
Okay.
Marcus
I had
coming.
Marcus on the podcast. I like that guy. He's super cool. Yep. He's a go-getter, man. He's hardcore. He's probably one of the most hardcore people I know.
It's good. And that's what we want, man. We want guys that get out there and and understand this job is not for the faint of heart, man. We've got 9 guys going through our new hire orientation, the 701 course right now. And between Friday and today, and we gave him the speech first thing Monday morning, as a coordinator, I gave him a speech, and everything I taught you in Fire Academy, forget, because it doesn't apply out here. It doesn't work like that. ISTA and Jones and Bartlett, those suit and ties guys, they don't know how this real world works, man. It's the same guys that write those freaking EMT books. They don't know how the real world works. You pass the test, now welcome to the real life. So they had to do some consumption drills and on Friday, and then they had to do a survival drill. And so I said, welcome to Porter Fire Department, as I released them Friday. First thing Monday morning, welcome back. Let's do another one. And we call it the Captain Joe drill, and it's the one we talked about earlier. And man, they're whooped, but they're getting an eye-opening experience, man. These kids, these young men who are kids, have got to understand this job is not for the faint of heart, man. What we see, what we deal with, what we put our bodies through. And I think the list of instructors that we've got going here that Kevin has put together. The only one I'll take any credit for is Raymond out of Miami-Dade. That's the only one I've called. Kevin has done a phenomenal job of putting these guys together. And
man,
getting them. I know Shane Bentley. I got word from Kevin. Shane Bentley talked to his guys like, "Hey guys, this is for Castillo. Figure out how to get there, but we're going."
Yeah.
So just to know that, man, these hard hitters, these guys that we've listed off, they're coming to work. They're coming to show you the job is still fun. We still love the job. Like, there's still great things about this job. And all you got to do is put in a little bit of effort, dude, and the job will reward you. I mean, where else can you go and work for 20 years and retire? But that's the thing about firemen. We're not going to retire after 20 years. We're going to keep going. I mean, I've talked about some of these guys from HFD, Captain Jofron, Kenneth Jofron from HFD, the one that we named the Captain Joe drill after, dude, over 30, 35 years, close to 40. One of the guys from HFD, Dell Jenkins, everybody called him General Jenkins, hard hitter, loves the job. He's the one that always talks about defogging your mask and proper pressures on your pumps and stuff like that. And he don't care about fog nozzle, smooth bore. He's going to choose a fog nozzle. He's a fog nozzle guy, but you know what? Fire still went out, over almost 44, 45 years. And then you got I actually got to ride on Captain Jenkins' truck one time. And at one point during the shift, a guy named Chewy, and I don't remember his real name because everybody called him Chewy, and Captain Jenkins, there was 97 years of experience between that officer seat and the guy sitting to the left of me. And here I am with, I think at that time, maybe 14 years in the career going, holy crap, man, the knowledge these guys, and probably one of the most humbling experiences that when you go out to these conferences, you're going to get from these guys is they're going to listen. And they're going to want to understand where you're coming from. They're going to want to make sure you guys are getting the knowledge they're trying to pass down. And one of the most humbling experiences I had sitting at Captain Jenkins' dinner table is he didn't talk much. So he sat right there because he was deaf and he's up in his wisdom. He sat right there like that the whole time at dinner, listening to the younger guys talk. And he's still trying to learn. I mean, you look at these conferences, the guys that love going to these conferences, you got those old heads. They're still taking notes. They're still learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells me there's still life in the fire service. No matter what social media says, there's still life in the fire service.
Yeah, dude, I love that so much. And you're right. A lot of those, especially, I know a couple of the Houston stuff, and where I work at, we I don't want to say emulate Houston as well, but it's the same thing. Like, Houston's one of the closer, larger departments that we're near.
Absolutely.
And so you're right though. Like, they work there for a really long time. We're talking 30, 40 years of service at the department. And it's ridiculous.
And it's not because of the pay, man.
No.
If you look at HFD's pay, and I still to this day, and if I'm wrong, by God, when you post this, somebody get on the comments and say that dummy from Porter, Texas, and what he's talking about. I still to this day don't think I know their mayor said yes, pay them, but I still don't think they've gotten their first paycheck from it.
Yeah.
These guys love the freaking job, man.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hard hitters coming out of Houston. And I mean, for Chief Gordon, Chief Mo Davis to come out, and two of the hardest hitters.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait.
And I'll add to your conference statement is, I've been to a few conferences now, and there's this thing that I've kind of made this relation to, and it's just like, man, a lot of us, right? Like, we don't work in Houston, right? Especially some of the districts in Houston's, like, they're going to a fire a shift, maybe even multiple fires a shift. And so they're doing this job, and they're going to fires, and they're going to a lot more fires than what we are, right? And so even if you want to put it in terms of firefighting, like, if we want to learn how to fight fire, Like, do we want to learn it from someone that's done it 100 times in our own department? Or do we want to learn it from someone that's done it 1,000 times somewhere else, right? And that's what we're getting out of this at conferences.
Absolutely, man.
We're getting it from people that have done it a lot. And so and that's just the tactical part. That's just the experience part. But not to mention the friendships, like you said, that are built there, and the relationships, and for this conference specifically, like, you're going to come and I could speak, and I'm sure that a lot of people that will be at this conference are going to be from Texas. So they're already knowing we're going to go and we're going to sweat our butts off, man. It's going to be hot.
Oh, it's going to be hot. It's freaking August, man.
Yeah.
That's the heat of our summer. I mean, it's going to be 100 degrees. It's going to happen.
Yeah. So Joe, is anything else you want to share about the conference? I'm going to give a recap here in a second, but anything else you want to share?
Yeah, man. You know, you literally just mentioned, we got big names. I've already said a couple of them with Kyle Romagus, Chief Reinwald, Howard Reinwald. You know, they're a backdoor, but you're absolutely right, man. I told those guys, you know, especially Chief Reinwald, it's not that I don't think those guys would be great in the conferences. I want everybody in Montgomery County. That's why I didn't reach out to many, if any, Montgomery County. I've had a few reach out to me. Montgomery County Fools local chapter. What can they do to help? Devin Craig with Fast Training and Train or Die. He's reached out. What can he do to help? And he did a great job getting me in contact with Chief Johnson for the big water stuff. You know, reached out to Chief Reinwald. He put me in touch with the Mo Davis and Clyde Gordons. And I know for a fact, if I called him and said, "Hey, Reinwald, I need you to come do something with us," he'd be there in a heartbeat, man. He worked back in the day with Castillo, but it's just like you said, the ultimate goal, and what I told Kevin is, I want outside guys coming in. I want everybody that's local to go work for Castillo. So if I didn't call you, if myself or Kevin hasn't called you to come teach, be an instructor, give a lecture, it is no disrespect intended. And you can put the blame on me. I straight up point blank told Kevin Pfluger, it's not that I don't want these guys. I want these guys that are always teaching and always lecturing to come out and work. I want them to come out and put this blood, sweat, and tears on the ground to honor Castillo. Let these outside guys, and I was concerned, like, are we going to get the guys? And here I am, just like I said, I got 3 pages full of names who are ready to come honor Castillo. And that's at the end of the day, man. That's what it's all about. That's why the vision of the conference is what it is, man. And we're going to do that.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you're right, dude. Like, I love that part of it. Like, if these guys can make it and come sweat and train for their brother, like, that's what they need to do. Yeah. Man, the Castillo Way, August 9th through 11th. It's going to be this year, not next year, this year, 2024, in a few months, right? In the Houston area. We're going to have one day of lectures, right? We've got Raymond Dorval going to do the Master of Ceremonies. We've got Chief Clyde Gordon, Chief Mo Davis, Chief Mike Johnson. We got maybe 1 or 2 more that we're not releasing yet because kind of a surprise thing and locking them down. Not to mention that sounds like the boys from Dagum coming down, the Bears of the Oath for the lecture days. If you haven't seen any of those work, like, you need to go find them on Facebook because they have plenty of videos to go watch. They're the real deal, and they know what they're talking about, and you're going to see it in their teaching and their passion. If you want any more information, you can reach out to Lieutenant Johnson here. You said your contact info is at the bottom of the flyer, which we'll post along with this. The Fairfield Inn and Suites in Porter, correct? Is that where it's at?
The Fairfield Inn and Suites of the Woodlands.
Of the Woodlands.
Here, I think later this week or as soon, I should not be no later than next week, we're going to do ticket releases. Once we confirm all the tickets, once we confirm all of our instructors have rooms and everybody's on that list and stuff, we will release those rooms to students.
Perfect.
That's the kind of deal we made out. And right now, I think we've acquired 50 rooms. If we need more, Miss Reyes from Fairfield Inn and Suites, she's great. Got to give her a little shout out, a little plug, because she's worked real hard with us. I'm pretty sure we can call and get more. But as of now, once we get the instructors in their rooms, it's going to be first come, first serve. And hopefully we can acquire some more rooms. But yes, Fairfield Inn and Suites out of the Woodlands, and which is good because you ain't even got to get on the freeway, man. All you got to do is make a U-turn. You're at the ETC, make a U-turn. You're back at the hotel. Your furthest drive will be the lecture day, and that's to go from there to the Porter, but you're going against traffic. I know everybody hates Houston traffic. You're going against Houston traffic. So it's a 20-minute drive from that motel to where we're doing the lecture day at.
Perfect, man. Lieutenant Johnson, man, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day. Really evening time. We're considered night owls at this point.
Yeah.
to come and just share this message and share a little bit about Jesse Castillo with us. I learned a lot about him in this conversation. He seems like a awesome guy. Between you and Ramirez, man, I've just heard so much, and I know you guys are covering him, but I just wanted to offer like my support and me and my family definitely praying for you guys and your department and y'all's friends and his family. Man, God
Absolutely.
works miracles and he does a lot. And for him to keep fighting, man, there's no reason why we shouldn't keep praying. Right. And so,
no, absolutely. Keep the prayers coming in. One last thing before you end this, on behalf of Jesse, I know he said it many a times, but if you're not his Facebook friend, if you haven't seen the videos, on behalf of Castillo and his family, his wife and his 2 young children, if you've donated to the GoFundMe account, man, I think the last time I looked at it, and it's been about a week, we were closing in on 40 grand just on the GoFundMe. So I know he is super appreciative of that. If you've donated to the meal train, great, awesome. I know he appreciates that too. But if you're not fortunate enough to donate anyways, I know he appreciates the love, the thoughts, the prayers, the checking in on him. And I almost forgot, man, Kevin Pfluger is going to be teaching that during that as well. I don't know if I mentioned that, but Kevin Pfluger is part of the cadre. He is going to teach. He's going to be one of the instructors. So hopefully you don't get too mad I didn't throw his name out right at first. But I know going back to Castillo and his family, man, they are just overwhelmed with the love and the gratitude and support. And I know a lot of people don't think about it, but man, the brotherhood is still alive. And just to be a little bit of a little cornerstone in what's going on for Castillo is more than humbling for me. And the guys that are supporting this conference, there's a ton of porter guys that are offering their help. I know we've already got shift trades going on, so the A shift boys can be there to rep their boy. So on behalf of Castillo, man, we love you guys. Thank you so much for the support that you have shown this small town, this small department, and such a huge name in the fire service, at least around our area, and that's Lieutenant Castillo.
You're right. The brotherhood is definitely not dead, man, and it proves itself time and time again when we need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. It feels bad to plug anything right now, but I want you guys to be out on the lookout for future TBM stuff because amongst the sharing of knowledge and experience, this is what another avenue that we want to be able to do, and that's just be able to help brothers in need, and maybe not even monetarily at the moment, but like just any way we can by spreading the message for anything like these conferences that are coming up, especially when they benefit someone that is very loved and needed. But TBM, we're still going to be releasing on our own platform, so we'll still be releasing on everything. But you should check us. We're going to be releasing at least 1 episode a month now through the Firefighter Nation platform. So if you haven't followed them yet, go to them. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. Just type in Firefighter Nation. They're about fire engineering. It's going to be a great. Me and Preston Lyons of the Rentless Rejects. He's going to be my co-host on there. We're at least going to do 1 a month, but we're hoping to do 2. One probably just like a Q&A style, and then the other one with a guest. So be looking out for that. We're starting to collect some questions right now for our first Q&A episode. We're really pumped about it. Anyways, we hope you guys have a good one. Make sure you guys get registered for this. Be on the lookout for the tickets and the hotel. Come represent, come work, come train, come sweat, come bleed. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be fun. And just like that, man, the time is now. Let's do it for Jesse Castillo. Thanks again. We'll catch you on the next one.